lounging, son.
Welcome back to the Comic Lounge. My name is Ryan, and today I'm going to be talking about Uncanny X-Men #1, the latest X-Men book in the relaunch of the X-Men line post the Krakoan era. And this one is got a great lineup. Gail Simone, David Marquez, and Matt Wilson are the creators. Before I get into it, I want to remind everybody, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Check out some of the awesome content we have on the channel. There's interviews, reviews, indie creators, big name creators, all that fun stuff. So hit that subscribe button, and now let's jump into Uncanny X-Men #1. Really love the cover. I love usually you think of a #1, it's going to have like an action shot of the team, but instead we get the entire team with, for the most part, it's their hands, kind of signifying their power. We got Jubilee, Rogue, Wolverine, Gambit, and then we got Nightcrawler's tail up in the corner, which I thought was a really fun cover. And we open up and we're at the X-Mansion, which, it's been such a long time since we've even seen it. You can see it says formerly Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters. You can see here, freaks stay gone, humans win. And we meet this Dr. Ellis, who is basically the warden of what is going to be this new prison. They're going inside and they're going to basically repurpose this entire mansion as a way to hold mutants, grabbing whatever they can that's of value, locking it up, and they're going to just liquidate any assets they have. You can even see Kitty's room. You got this little Lockheed stuffed animal. You got a costume up in a case right there. And even though she's a doctor, she wants this captain, refer to me as the warden, You need to get used to calling me that. So I don't know who this guy is, Philip. He seems like he's somebody new. They call out Cerebro and say that, them using it to find each other, there's an arrogance, building a monument to these people, their entire cult. This entire Foul Cathedral to the ground. So there's no love lost, obviously. This is going to be kind of a return to form in a lot of ways of, the mutants on the run. They hate the mutants. And then we see Prisoner X locked up. I'm thinking it's Professor X. They haven't really outwardly said it, but it seems the most logical. And, she comes in, hello inmate, welcome home. We're going to be doing some remodeling. To me, also kind of lends itself that it would be Professor X, because kind of the little dig, we're taking your place and we're going to take it over and remodel it. So that's kind of why I think it's Professor X. But, in this first issue, we're only going to have Rogue, Gambit, Wolverine, and Nightcrawler. You open up and Wolverine's visiting somebody, and of course he's, and I thought it was interesting too that, he's referred to as uncle. He comes in, he sees this person dying in bed, gets handed a bottle, but he's like, no, I'm good. I don't need any. Which is kind of weird because, Wolverine's known to drink, and, he gets asked the question, how does one cheat death? Really playing into the fact of how they kept dying and coming back and dying, and death meant nothing. That's definitely, I think, a mandate across the X-Line where, death is not going to be so casual. This guy is about to die and he just wants some sort of comfort. And he just wants to know, where he goes when he dies. He says it's just blackness, in my memory. And he asked Logan if he thinks about it. He's like, sometimes I miss it. And it's interesting. You can see the pain in his eyes of he almost wants to move on. That's what I take from this. And, he says sometimes he misses the quiet because there's no quiet in the X-Men's world at all. I love this shot of Rogue and Gambit. David Marquez just did a freaking phenomenal job on this book. And, Gail Simone, long been a favorite of mine, whether it was her stuff at DC, with Birds of Prey, Secret Six. She's definitely done a good amount of Marvel stuff. My favorite of her Marvel would have to be the Deadpool that led into Agent X as well. That's some of my favorite Deadpool stuff, to be honest. They're meeting up with Logan, and they're meeting up to figure out something to do with, as he calls him, Old Big Red here. They've been on the run because they're being hunted for the most part. The world is against them, and they've been hiding out. And then we see this massive dragon, which I have no idea what the hell this is. But, even calling out, this isn't a Q and this isn't Lockheed. I guess this is from Savage Avengers 14 through 16, as it says here. But, I'm not familiar. I didn't read that. But that's not important, They're gonna basically take care of this dragon, which, I mean, who doesn't love a good fight with some monsters? But this isn't any normal dragon. This one's, this one's got some magic to it. It's got, and we'll see that it's got another like eye of Agamotto, which Wolverine calls out here. And he's like, he can see into their souls, the thief, the hunter, and this scared little girl. So he's like calling out Rogue, and you can see that it's kind of getting to her. You're frightened, desperate for love, for touch, to be wanted, still hiding in the body of a woman, pathetic. And so because she's so distracted, she gets smacked down. Interesting that there's another eye of Agamotto. I thought that was something new to me. I don't know if this is like they say Savage Avengers. I think in Savage Avengers they went back in time, forward in time. So I don't know if maybe this is just an ancient holder of the eye, but great shot of Rogue knocking him out. You got the wrong tavern wench puppet stuff. So this is full of Gail's signature humor. She has such a great way of balancing action, humor, drama in all of her books, and just delivering a really fun, first story. And Gambit eventually, he rips that Eye of Agamotto straight out of his belly and uses it as a way to barter with him. And so the dragon just wants to slumber. He's like, why don't you go to Antarctica? And he's like, you know what? Don't need anyone for a year, and I'll give you this back. All right, is that good? Are we good to go? So he's basically that's how he gets rid of the dragon. So I'm assuming in a year we're gonna have to worry about this guy coming back. But another great moment. I mean, I've been seeing this online, people talking about like what Rogue says, like her sexuality is 100% X-Men. Better turn away, Logan, or don't. Your call. But they're one of the great comic book relationships in the Marvel Universe. So I'm really glad to see this team kind of spearheaded by Rogue. It makes sense. She's got really great leadership and has over the years become one of the best leaders in X-Men. Getting a call from Scott, kind of tying it all together, with the rest of the X-Men line. And he asks Rogue to do a favor for him. Kurt will be there just in case. And, you can see there's some stuff they got to work out, right? Between them. There's a reason that they're not together. Then we come and we meet this new mutant character. Name is Fawn. So that's definitely a new one that I haven't seen before. On the run from some sort of demonic creature. And then we pan back out and we see that they're visiting this little boy at the hospital in the oncology department. Refers himself as Harvey X. He's dying, and Wolverine can sense it. He even says, you better call the doc in soon. And they're just going to give him a little bit of hope. He loves the X-Men, so this is super cool to see, right? Like, he's got the giant size X-Men cover on the wall. He's got a bunch of action figures, and he's just like so stoked for the X-Men to come. And some really great some really great moments here, especially with, him talking to Rogue. Goes into this like trance almost. They're coming, you have to help them. One of them is the Endling. And so the doctors come in, they try to save him, and he doesn't make it. There's no quiet on Earth, like the silence after a child dies. You don't hear the tears, the beeping, the hustle, not even the wailing of grieving parents. You just hear a black emptiness as big as the world. Me, well, I thought I'd just collapse in on myself for a while. I mean, heart-wrenching scenes in here. Then we get to where they're, the X-Men, they're going to end up working out of New Orleans. So they're going to this house that, Remy, aka Gambit, has set up, and this is where their base of operations will be. And then we get a nice little, little campfire out here, sitting by the lake, shooting the shit, and, calling out, we almost had Xavier's dream, now it's emptiness. Do we even try to carry on? And, saying, who's going to lead us? And he's like, of course, who else would we follow? You. And, she talks about maybe we should go up with Cyclops, and Wolverine's like, nope, I'm not going to a community run by Scott Summers. He's everywhere you look, every step you take, I ain't going back there. Whatever it is, it ain't the X-Men you mean. Love these, like, just like in the 90s, too, these X-Men and X-mentions. You got the kind of like talking about the upcoming stuff, you got the checklist. And so, now we're going to talk about the third X-Men book, which is going to be Exceptional X-Men. And so she called Kate, thought maybe she'd come. It didn't go well. And basically says, don't call me again. Like, they're all kind of on their own, doing their own thing. And much like X-Men 1 had a certain vibe, certain kind of focal point for it, this one feels wholly different. This one I lean a little bit more into liking this one. I think just especially because of the lineup. I mean, Gambit and Wolverine, two of my favorites. As much as I love Cyclops and Magneto, I love Rogue too. I think this is a great lineup. I love that, Nightcrawler's in here. And then we're also introduced to these 4 new mutants. Have no idea who they are. This QR code that I think it's ridiculous. It shows a hidden page and kind of like teases of stuff to come. I'm glad they're going to be stopping that moving forward. And then we, much like we did in the other X-Men books, and Phoenix #1 did it, X-Men #1 did it, X-Force #1 did it too. We get a letter from the writer talking about how this project came to be, how they landed on the X-Men book, and overall excited energy moving forward of what they hope to accomplish with the book. So I highly recommend this. I'm so glad there is a title, Uncanny X-Men, again. I think you need to have an Uncanny X-Men. You can't have an X-Men line without it. So really glad we got it. Love what Gail Simone, David Marquez, and Matt Wilson have done with this. I'm excited for the next issue. I highly recommend picking it up. And while you're at it, make sure you like, follow, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you're notified every time a new vid drops. And on that note, I'm out.